Poštovani gledaoci, srdačan pozdrav. Velika mi je čast i zadovoljstvo da u Biznis Ekskluzivu mogu da najavim 30-minutni razgovor sa gospodinom Hermantom Kanorijom, predsjednikom kompanije SREI Infrastructure Finance Ltd, koja je jedna od vodećih nebankarskih finansijskih kompanija u Indiji. Za početak ću vam reći samo nekoliko rečenica o ovoj kompaniji. Ona se bavi finansiranjem infrastrukturnih projekata i kada su prije četvrt vijeka počeli da se bave gospodin Kanorija i njegov brat sa tim, to je bio pionirski poslovni poduhvat u Indiji, a kompanija je danas, nakon 24 godine, posluje u mreži od 99 poslovnica sa korisničkom bazom od preko 30.000 i širokim spektrom usluga koje nude u oblastima finansiranja infrastrukturnih projekata, savjetodavnih usluga i razvoja, finansiranja opreme za infrastrukturu, tržišta kapitala i tako dalje. So, for start, Mr. Kanoria, welcome to Montenegro, and tell me what brings you to our country?
No, actually, it is a very interesting opportunity which we were seeing, and because I thought that, to come and meet Mr. Dusko and understand from him that what are the opportunities which are here in Montenegro. We are already our company has been doing business in India, and then we have been looking at opportunities overseas in many other countries. And that's how this has been my first visit, and I'm really very impressed with Montenegro. I had a meeting with the Deputy Prime Minister yesterday and the Finance Minister today morning, and both were very interesting meetings.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you that. I know that you have met with Montenegrin officials. What was the topic of your conversations? Can you tell us?
Basically, it was that we understand that the government is very keen to develop the entire country as a tourist destination. It has to have other opportunities also, but agriculture and tourism are two main areas which the government is wanting to develop. And for both, infrastructure is extremely critical, both energy and infrastructure. And fortunately, our company happens to be both in the energy sector and in the infrastructure sector. So therefore, it was very useful and fruitful discussions with the Deputy Prime Minister yesterday and today with the Finance Minister to explore opportunities that how our company can find out and be a part of the growth story of Montenegro.
And how that looks to you? Do you see opportunity here in our country?
No, definitely. I think that because the country is a very stable country, it is politically stable, it's a democracy, so it has all the right elements on the checklist. So therefore, from that perspective, I think that it is a very interesting country to be in. And because the country would be developing, it's a beautiful country, so the country would be developing its infrastructure. And if we can be a part of this infrastructure growth here, it will be very exciting for us. Definitely the kind of business that we do in India, I don't think so that there would be an opportunity to that level because the size in India is very large. We have a 1.2 billion population. The investments which has got made in infrastructure in India has been in billions and trillions of dollars because being a very large country. And we have been a part of that growth story in India. So therefore, I still think that it is a very exciting opportunity here.
I wanted to talk about south of our country later, but okay, we can do it now. Is it our advantage or disadvantage from the point of view, from the perspective of your business? Is it, because Montenegro is a small country, is it advantage or disadvantage? What do you think?
No, it is a very big advantage also because you have a smaller population. The infrastructure development would not require that much of money which we require in India. And in India, many times things seems to be very chaotic because it's such a huge country and a huge democracy. And India is almost like a continent. It is almost comparable to Europe because we have 29 states in India. And these states are each like a country. The size is large. It has different languages. It has different culture. It has different tradition. Like someone going from Germany to Greece would not be in a position to understand each other's language. So in India, we have similar kind of situation. So people may be going from one state to the other and they may not even understand the language. The culture will be different, the food will be different. So therefore, it's the entire country is like Europe. So it's very interesting because you're never bored because it has the variety. So similarly, like in Europe, you always have a variety. You have Montenegro, you have Austria, you have Germany, you have different countries which has different advantages and disadvantages. So therefore, and from business perspective, you always look at the opportunities. You always look at from the positive perspective that what are the opportunities and what can be done.
Yeah, and tell me, can we expect some kind of cooperation maybe with Atlas Group, because you was with Mr. Knežević, or some other company from Montenegro? And what kind of project do you see as the potential that your company maybe can do here? Concrete.
Yeah. With the Atlas Group, I think that it's a very large group and being in varied kind of businesses. So there would be a lot of opportunities of working together, especially in the financial services sector, in the banking, because ours is a large financial institution in India. We manage a portfolio of about $10 billion in India. And also we are in Russia, so we are evaluating opportunities in concrete way that what we can do in Russia together, what can be done in Montenegro also, both from the perspective of infrastructure, financial services, and then gradually you see the relationship has to start with something, and then gradually it keeps on developing. So we are very hopeful. The group is very, very good, and with Dr. Duško also, the meetings that we have had has been very interesting.
Tell me about that connection with Russia, and how can we connect with you and with Russia, and in what projects? Tell me first about your business in Russia, and then maybe that connection, how can we make, because it's very interesting.
In Russia, we have been there for the last 6-7 years in Russia now, and our company started an equipment financing and leasing company in Russia, which has been supported by EBRD, by the German government, by the Dutch government, and their financial institutions are shareholders in our Russian company. So we have about EBRD, DEG and FMO, the various government institutions hold about 36% of the equity in our Russian company. And Atlas Group is having a bank there. So we are trying to see that how the bank and the leasing company can work together, because the businesses are very, very complementary. And if we work together, it is a big advantage for both the bank and for the leasing company. Mm-hmm. So that is one area which we are trying to explore and see that how we can make that happen. And then especially in Montenegro itself, in Montenegro also there would be opportunities, because Atlas Bank is a large bank here. We are in the financial services. If we get into infrastructure, then there will be a lot of opportunities to work together again. And these are the kind of discussions which we are going to have.
Okay.
Further.
It is often said, I don't know if you heard that Montenegro could become a regional energy hub. Do you think that this is possible, and how can we reach that goal?
I think that what is required is that I understand the opportunity is more on the hydropower plants here. Mm-hmm. And hydropower plants can be set up. You can have good companies coming in both from India. There could be companies from China, Canada, who specialize in building up hydropower plants. In India also we have large capacities of hydropower plants which are being built up. At present, the ongoing hydropower plants only would be in the size of about 20 to 30,000 megawatt. And because India needs power to a very large extent, we are still having a shortfall in power. So we have continuous power plants and hydrothermal, etc. coming up. So hydropower plants could be, and that is where the cooperation with Indian companies can happen to set up hydropower plants. And this, it is basically more on the side which is not damaging the environment, because with fossil fuels you have the problem of damaging the environment also. So it is very environment friendly, and as we discuss in details and we explore further opportunities, we should be in a position to get some of the Indian companies to come and participate here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I suggest that we make a short break here. Poštovani gledalci, idemo kratko na reklame, a onda se vraćamo u studio i nastavljamo razgovor. Poštovani gledalci, Biznis Ekskluziv, ponovo smo u studiju. Naš gost Hermant Knorrija, predsjednik kompanije SREI Infrastructure Finance Ltd, jedne od vodećih nebankarskih kompanija u Indiji koje po cijelom svijetu rade na poslovima izgradnje infrastrukture kao i u bankarskoj sferi. Mr. Kanoria, can you sum up in a few sentences for our viewers what is your work based upon and what do you do exactly in India and in the rest of the world?
See, our company, though our group has been in business for more than 100 years, and we have been in various businesses, but we started in infrastructure financing in about 25 years back. So this year we are going to celebrate our 25th anniversary, silver anniversary on the infrastructure financing. We were among the first companies in India which started financing in infrastructure 25 years back. Infrastructure had not opened up in India. And it was very difficult times in India at that particular moment. The country was going through a crisis, was going through a liquidity crisis. The population was growing and the infrastructure was in shambles. So that was a time when the government opened up infrastructure and they invited private sector to participate because the government thought that they would not be in a position to do this massive infrastructure building on their own. One, they did not have the resources by way of financial money which was available. Second, also the resources or the capacity to be able to build up this infrastructure. So therefore they started inviting a private sector to come in and gradually started opening up from 1991. We also came into this particular sector at that particular time and we took that leap of faith that this is something which is towards nation building. And because I was a young man at that time, so I thought that this would be very exciting to get into a business which can be there for a longer period of time, which is sustainable and work along with the growth of the country and build up the infrastructure of the country. And India could clearly see that it had trillions of dollars of requirement. We went about because it was quite a difficult task to get into infrastructure and for such a large country like India. So we went about speaking to institutions overseas like the World Bank, IFC. We went to the German government or the Dutch government or the Belgium government, and they had developmental institutions. So they thought that the idea which we had was very good and it dovetailed with their philosophy of development of a nation. So therefore they supported our initiative and extended us long-term lines of credit. They took equity in our company, and that's how our story started off. And in hindsight now, today we are managing about a $10 billion of portfolio in infrastructure in India. In 25 years, it's a nice achievement that we have had, the company. We have got also, besides the financing of clients, we got BNP Paribas. They came in as a 50% partner in our equipment financing business about 5 years back, and they've been very happy because that company has grown very well. And what we have been able to do is that put in the best quality of management. So the teams that we have are excellent teams. We pick up the best, we empower them, we make them think like entrepreneurs. So therefore they are in a position to drive the company, and the growth of the company has been at the rate of 30 to 35% year to year for the last 25 years. That's how the company has grown. And the company,
impressive.
Thank you. And the company has also expanded into various areas. So besides financing, we also have a portfolio where we manage 14 road projects on toll, so we collect toll. We invested and put in a very good management team in power distribution. So we bought over a company in power distribution which was not doing well, and we turned that around about 3 years back. We also have a joint venture on telecom towers. So we introduced the concept of telecom towers not being owned by the telecom operators, but being owned by an infrastructure company, and any telecom operator can use the tower, because we came out with this concept about 6 years back, and we got one of the largest groups in India, Tata's, to come along with us in that. And we have about 42,000 towers in India. So that is the largest independent tower company in the world. Because what India gives is, India gives a size, and you can achieve that size very quickly. So in 6 years' time, it became the largest telecom tower company. From scratch, in 6 years' time, it became the largest telecom tower company in the world. Then we are also in the water distribution in India, which is privatized in one part of India, as in the capital of India, that is Delhi. And that has been done on an experimental basis. We have tied up with, again, one of the best companies in the world, Veolia, which is a French company, who are partners for that. We are in industrial parks, so we are developing various industrial parks. We are also in seaport. We have also developed a very unique business in India, which is providing services to people in the rural areas. So we provide services through rural IT infrastructure that we created to 280 million people. So that is about 37% of India's rural population. And this was done again in 4 years' time. So we started from scratch. It was a concept where we would provide e-governance. That means all the government services to the villagers could be provided through IT. And also e-commerce, e-learning, banking services, insurance services, teaching people there, helping them to have employment and create employment for them in the rural areas, because unemployment is a big issue in the country because we have a 1.2 billion population. So this model is a unique model, and we cater to about 37% of India's rural population. So these are the kind of infrastructure that we have been able to build up besides the financing that we do.
That's great. I told you in a few sentences, but I understand you couldn't do it shorter.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
No, nothing. Tell me, I know it's a difficult question, but I have to ask you, what are the projects that you are most proud of? It has to be something that you can tell me about that.
I think that the most interesting project has been the building up the infrastructure company itself. That this is, we started at a time when people did not have that belief that infrastructure could be done by the private sector. And it was like, we were being Columbus going and discovering US, so America. So similarly, it was that kind of a job for us. The second most interesting part of our business has been on the rural IT network, that to be able to connect people, to make a difference in their lives. And we have created 28,000 entrepreneurs in the rural areas who basically provide these services. And also it is providing employment to so many people in the rural areas. Yeah. It is giving them a different kind of a lifestyle. It is basically making them connected.
You change their lives completely, yeah.
So it makes them connected to the world, because otherwise they were isolated from the world. So through technology, they get connected to the world. They are learning. So therefore the learning helps them to get employment. So we are helping them to get employment. So that is basically a transformational business.
Yeah, that's a great accomplishment, definitely. You talked about, I didn't want to interrupt you, you're financing objects and towers for telecommunication services. In Montenegro, we have twice as many cell phones users than residents. I don't know, do you know that? Would you consider doing some projects in that field in our country, because we are very interesting?
No, definitely, we would not be averse to it. And as I said, that this has been, I've just come for the first time yesterday. So we would like to start with baby steps and then see what are the opportunities which unfold. But I think that there could be a lot of opportunities.
When will you come next time?
No, I think that what we will do is that we will send our teams, because we have professionals in each of the businesses. So some businesses, the professional will come and they start off and they will start understanding to a better degree. Because what we believe is that it is very important to create the right kind of business model, because then it is sustainable, and then you can also achieve the economies of scale. As I mentioned to you, that from scratch we started the telecom tower business, and in 4 years' time it became the largest telecom tower company in the world. We started the rural IT infrastructure, and in 3 years' time it became the largest rural IT infrastructure in the world to cater to 280 million people. So we try to think through and plan and do a lot of model creation, and then after that we usually want to execute it.
I have to ask you this. This is a small country. You can't earn, I don't know, some huge amount of money here. What is your satisfaction?
See, as a matter of fact, in India also, this is a very interesting point that you have made. India also is a very large country, but there are many states which are very small, which do not have a large opportunity. But we, as an organization, we are all over the country. So we don't see that because in a smaller part of the state, there would be opportunities which are small. But at the same time, when it gets integrated in the whole, so every small part makes a lot of difference for the entire whole, for it to become larger. So similarly, we see that Montenegro may be a small country, but the opportunities would be good. And once we get here, it will also give us an opportunity to get into other parts of this part of the world from Montenegro. So you have to have you have to have your anchor at one place, and then you can move around. So we think that it's a very I was very impressed with both the Deputy Prime Minister and the Finance Minister and Dr. Dusko definitely. And so therefore, I think that we'll have the right kind of elements to make it a successful partnership here.
Yeah, great. Because regional cooperation that's what we started to talk about again after wars that we had and everything. What country in the region or region completely can be interested in what projects for you? Whole region? Because I suppose that you don't look Montenegro as the only country that you came and you will stop there, as you said.
Yes, and also what has happened is that we already have, because my brother is based out of London, and there is a care home business of about 18 care homes which are there. There is an acquisition of a bank which has taken place in Austria, which has just happened 2 months back, the Hypo Alpe Adria. The Austrian part has been taken over by my brother. And so
yeah, we know.
so therefore, we are already there now as a family. We are already there. We have been in Europe for quite some time, and then gradually we are now trying to establish our footsteps into other areas too.
Okay, and for the end, can you tell me just about situation in India in a few sentences? Because we know global economic crisis has affected every country in the world, more or less. From India, we heard a lot of encouraging news for the last few years. What is the situation now?
See, in India, as I said, it is a very large country.
Yeah.
So therefore, what happens is that we are just going in for elections in the month of April for the parliamentary elections. So we will have a new government, hopefully very soon. And every new government which comes in, development of the country, agriculture, infrastructure, that agenda cannot change because the country requires the development to take place, and there is such a huge population. So I think that we will be on the track. We have sometimes we take a step back, sometimes we move forward, but that keeps on happening anywhere. And in a democracy, the advantage of India is that it is the largest democracy in the world. The disadvantage is also because it is the largest democracy, and democracy many times creates chaos, creates anarchy, because people want to have their own right. Like in China, if the government decides that they want to build up a road, and if they give an order that people should move out from that particular place within 24 hours, 48 hours, 1 week, people have to move out. In India, it may not happen because it's a democracy. So people have their fundamental rights. So they may go to the court. They may say that we will not give you the land for building up a road. We will not give you the land to build up a power plant. Because it's our land, so the government cannot take it forcibly. So it is more of an inclusive growth, so it is more sustainable. It makes people happier because the growth is not being thrust upon them. It is a part of them. Sometimes people want it, sometimes people don't want it. So similarly, it's a very interesting country. And because we have so many states in India, so every state competes with each other, just like in Europe. Every country will compete for investors to come and put up, if someone wants to put up an automobile manufacturing plant, so Germany will say, I'll give you all the advantages. Austria will say, we'll give you advantages. Montenegro will say, we will give you the advantages. So similarly in India also, all the states, they compete with the investors and industrialists, and the politicians try to make it more attractive for them to set up the industries at their particular place. So it's a very, very interesting structure.
Okay, thank you very much for this conversation. It was my pleasure.
My pleasure too. Thank you.
Poštovani gledalci, bio je to Hermant Kanorija, biznismen iz Indije sa kojim se nadamo da ćemo u budućnosti ostvariti neku saradnju. Čuli ste već iz razgovora i na kojim mogućim projektima. Završavamo još jedan biznis ekskluziv. Ponovo smo s vama naredne subote u 20:45.